The Ryan and Rush Show is brought to you by Vision Homes. If you're looking to build a home in North Central West Virginia, visit askvisionhomes.com. Vision Homes, building you a house you're proud to call home. And don't forget to subscribe to the Ryan and Rush Show, but don't take our word for it. Take Coach Nealon's.
Hi, this is Coach Don Nealon, and you're watching the Ryan and Rush Show. Please subscribe.
And we welcome you into another edition of the Ryan and Rush Show, your source for West Virginia sports. Our preseason basketball series continues with none other than the interim head coach himself, Josh Eilert. Josh, we welcome you on the Ryan and Rush Show. Thank you so much for coming on. We're so happy to have you.
Well, I mean, I'm just glad you didn't put the interim tag on my name down there like everybody else. I appreciate you guys having me. I'm excited to get this season going. It's been a long road to get where we're at right now, and we're grinding each and every day and trying to figure out every obstacle that comes our way. And they seem to keep coming.
Yes, they do. And Josh, let's get right into it. So what, you're 4 months into the job. Biggest adjustments, there's been plenty of them. Surprises to the new gig. I mean, do you manage your day differently now that you're the head man in charge? What's been the biggest surprises and adjustments over these 4+ months headed into the opener next Monday?
I think the biggest thing, I mean, before I was, you have all the answers from behind the scenes. You're the suggestion guy. You want to come to the table with this solution or that solution. And then you can just walk out of the room.
Yeah.
And now, when you're in the head chair, you take all those suggestions and you want to take all that feedback from your staff. But at the end of the day, you're pulling the trigger on whatever decision is made, whether it's a good decision or a bad decision, and you got to own it. So it's a different level of pressure and responsibility. And certainly I'm going to do everything I can to represent our state, our university at the highest level and do right by them and keep this program, which is a very good high foundation program, and keep it at that level and not compromise our integrity and do everything the right way in the meantime.
So, Coach, you're about 30 practices in. You've obviously had the George Mason scrimmage. You had the Vanderbilt scrimmage as well. I guess the George Mason was more. One was closed door, obviously. One was open to the public. What are your takeaways from this group so far?
Well, I told the media earlier today, I said, we certainly struggled to win that game the other night. But first and foremost, I will give our guys credit. They showed some resolve. They could have packed it in and took the victim mentality and said, this, that, or the other, and make excuses. But down the stretch, they figured out a way to win. And nobody quit on each other. Each and every one of them had each other's backs, and we certainly dealt with adversity in that game, just like we've dealt with adversity off the court. I never thought for a second that I'd have two bigs in foul trouble, with 2 fouls in the first 5 minutes of the game. Mm-hmm. And so we end up running out a lot of lineup combinations that we never anticipated. I certainly figured at some point Jesse was going to be in foul trouble and we'd have to manage that. But I didn't know, I'd have 2 in foul trouble. Now I'm looking at, going into the opening game without a cook. And, so I could certainly be in that position, once again, way more likely to be in that position, come Monday than I was against George Mason.
Josh, I watched your presser earlier today, and I know you talked about how Missouri State, I think, plays a D2 tonight, but it's not on TV. They've gotten eyes on you against George Mason, so they have more film than you have access to them. Obviously, they're a solid Missouri Valley program as well, and a really good league in the Missouri Valley. I saw a little sneak peek. I mean, I like some of the stuff you were doing with the tandem ball screen with Jesse Edwards, getting him the ball in different ways when you needed a bucket. But I also sense that you were hiding some stuff because it's a preseason game. I mean, it's a little bit of an appetizer taste. How do you manage not throwing out the whole playbook right away, because the season is a marathon? And, I mean, defensively, how do you see this team forming? Are you looking at some more zone? I know over the years with Hugs, we've played 1-3-1. I know he calls it point drop, which is the matchup zone. I'm not trying to give away too much right now, but how do you see this team going forward, Josh?
No, we got a couple things in our pocket.
Yeah.
I mean, you're right. I didn't want to show nearly as much as I showed. And to be honest with you, these close scrimmages in terms of showing your film and all that, we had an agreement that film and those close scrimmages wouldn't get out. But I knew in the first 2 plays playing George Mason that they saw our film versus Vanderbilt. And I'm not saying it came from them. It could come from inside the program. But, as a video coordinator, how some of that stuff can get out. So I knew real quick when they're calling out our sets right off the bat that they had saw our Vanderbilt scrimmage. And you're right. I don't want to show too much, and you want to have as much mystery as possible going into the first 2 or 3 games and try to hold back as much as you can for those first very challenging games, which will be coming Fort Myers. But not to say in the situation we're in right now with lack of depth and everything else, all bets are off. We got to figure out a way to win game number 1. We can't be looking ahead. So we're going to use whatever tools necessary to do so. But it looks like from their perspective, they have all pretty much seen what we're going to run. Obviously, I haven't showed everything, but we're kind of in the dark a little bit going into game 1.
So we all know Kerr, Battle, Cook are out, all for different reasons. And we know you've talked about all these guys and how it all happened to death. So we're not going to press you on that as much anymore because everyone kind of knows what's going on there.
Yeah.
But talk about the guys that have to now step into these expanded roles, especially the guys like Seth, Kobe, Josiah, Pat, that all stuck around, especially when there's been multiple variations of this team. And it looked like, hey, their role might dwindle from what it was last year, but now we're going to have to rely on them. So, just talk about their expanded roles.
Yeah, I mean, I tell those guys all the time, be ready for your opportunity. I mean, case in point, look at myself. If I'm not ready for the opportunity and to be a head coach, which I've played that out in my mind 1,000 different ways over the last 15 years in every position that I held in this office. So if you're not ready for the opportunity, you're going to have a hard time being successful. And those guys, I mean, they've put in a lot of time in this program. I mean, Kobe has played in 61 ball games for the Mountaineers, so he's got a lot of experience under his belt. Whether we've really relied on him, I mean, we relied on him in a different way, in a different capacity. Now it's time for Kobe, Seth, JoJo, all those guys to step up and take advantage of their opportunity. And that's what I've been preaching the last few days. I mean, we in no way are we a victim. In life, there's so many challenges in life, and it's all your mindset in terms of how you attack and go about your next steps. If you're going to look at yourself as a victim, good luck. You're just going to be a victim because nobody wants to deal with that. So I mean, we just got to say, okay, it's a challenge. It's an opportunity to change our mindset, grow, and learn from the opportunities that's put in front of us. So that's the message I've had with those guys. Certainly, we would wish we'd had more time to rep some of these things out, but we still got 2 practices left before we tip it up and it's official.
Yeah, no, I that's so we've interviewed now Alex, Deshaun, Jordan, and DeMar, and the message has been the same. But you guys are not a victim; it's an opportunity, and a little adversity never hurts anybody. And you guys are gonna embrace that adversity, embrace that challenge. Let's talk about how we got here too, Josh. You worked for this program, this proud program, for 16 years. You followed Hugs from K-State when you were a GA, then you're video coordinator, then you're director of ops, then you're assistant coach. You've literally worn every single hat in that building. You made it a priority to keep that staff with primarily Hugs guys. We just mentioned the former players that are on your staff, but also you kept in the building the support staff pretty much intact, whether it's Jay Kuntz, Trent Michaels, Jared Courts, and Tyler Chang, all guys that have been managers and been a part of the success of this program. Why did you think it was so imperative to keep the continuity of that staff, and just talk about that staff and how tight you guys are with the adversity that you guys face over the last 4 or 5 months.
It's really, I mean, it's certainly brought us together.
Yeah.
We meet, and especially as assistant coaches and the coaching staff, we meet every single day for at least an hour, maybe sometimes an hour and a half, 2 hours. So I've always operated under the stance I want to be 100% on the same page. We can talk through different things, whether things are happening off the floor, on the floor, what can we do different, what we can improve. And I want that to have us to have that type of synergy as a coaching staff and that growth mindset, because let's be honest, I'm new to being a head coach.
Yep.
These guys are all new to be an assistant coach. I mean, Alex was a GA last year. DJ was an assistant for 2 months. Deshaun has been an assistant coach, but not at the college level, and he's been in the NBA, doing those things. And Jordan just got done playing, and so you look at the staff. You go back to your question. You look at the staff from day one when everything was going down. And there's a transition between coaches, and part of the interview process, I told Ren, I said, we got good people. We got really good people in this organization. Now, sometimes maybe they've lacked purpose. Maybe they've lacked, motivation. But I said, I'll do everything to put them in a position to where they have equity in the process. And when guys have equity in the process and they feel like they're a part of it, and each and every day their work is meaningful and it's going towards the mission, then you're going to get more out of them. But we had good people. We had really good people, and that's why I didn't want to disrupt that foundation of what we had in terms of our support staff. Now, our assistant coaches, you start with day one. I mean, I want energy. I wanted enthusiasm. I wanted guys that are high character people, and those guys all fit that bill. And every single one of them was a really good player. So you look at a lot of these staffs, half of them or maybe even 3/4 of them never played the game. And you run our whole 5 out there, and I was the worst player of all of them.
Yeah.
No, they have an incredible amount of experience, whether it be playing overseas. Deshaun spent time in the NBA. Obviously, DJ spent 8 years in the NBA. Jordan's played under 2 different programs. Alex played 15 years overseas and played, but we all had this common thread. I mean, we all worked under Hugs or played under Hugs.
Yeah.
So in a lot of ways, we came together and we knew what to expect from each other, because we kind of understood the dynamics of what our core foundational beliefs are. And we all have different nuances to what we think should happen, but we talk about those things every day and we get on the same page.
Something we've alluded to throughout this conversation is adversity, and something that Ryan and I have talked about with your assistant coaches this whole week as we've done our preseason series is there's something about the adversity happening before the season with everything going on, and the easiest thing left is to play basketball, right? Where some programs will, everything goes smoothly and stuff, and then you get to the Big 12 schedule or you get to a tough non-conference opponent, and that's the first time you've ever faced adversity, and we've seen teams sink because of that. How is this type of adversity, as we talked about a little bit earlier, an opportunity, a way to be like, you know what, guys, we just have basketball left to play. Like, what else is there left to do? We might as well go out. We have nothing to lose, and let's go out there and play hard.
Yeah, and we didn't have the most energetic practice. We just got done with a long, hard practice, and we were off the day before, and we're off tomorrow. So today was the day to really get after it and get as many reps as possible. And we probably didn't have the most energetic, enthusiastic practice, and I kind of had a heart-to-heart with them afterwards. We might be sitting at rock bottom. I don't know. There might be more challenges ahead, but we've been throwing a lot of curveballs. And now it's time to, let's step up to the plate, and that fastball is coming, and let's take advantage of that. So I think we're climbing. I think good things are going to happen. So to your point, all these challenges, it's mindset on as to how you handle them. And we start on Monday. We're not going through this in February. So hopefully if we are starting to see some adversity in February or January when it comes to conference play, we can look back and like, hey, you know how we handled that? We're handling this in the same way. Mm-hmm. And hopefully it's a learning experience for everybody in the program, top to bottom, to where, you know, we're not going to be fazed by that. We might not be phased when we're down, you know, 5 with 40 seconds left. We're going to fight through and we're going to figure out a way to win. So, you know, adversity comes an incredible opportunity to learn and grow.
Josh, let me ask a follow-up question to that. And it kind of goes back to, you've worn every hat here for 16 years, and you've seen some really talented guys go through this program and get into the coaching profession. For example, Joe Mazzulla with the Celtics, he just went through an interim year himself. You got Darius Nichols at Radford. You got Jared Calhoun over at Youngstown State. Multiple guys, Frank Martin over at UMass and from South Carolina. How have you been able to lean on those guys that are part of this coaching fraternity, the Hugs Tree that we all talk about during this chaotic offseason, going into your first year as head coach?
I mean, Joe Mazzulla's situation is probably the closest thing to mine. But, you know, even he took it over in the middle of the season. My situation was, you know, all that adversity was hitting me in the off season, and here I am trying to navigate how we win games from here. Yeah. So yeah, I've had a lot of conversations with Joe, especially this summer, and he told me, like, hey, you're playing with house money. You know, every day, just figure out a way. You're going to have a new challenge every day, and just attack it head on, and look at it as a perspective to learn and grow yourself. And he's got just great head on his shoulders. And if you knew Joe Mazzulla from when he was playing days, like he's done a complete 180, and I still have to slap myself every time I'm talking to him, like thinking to myself, you know, how far he's come. And that's the beauty of the profession, man. That is the beauty of the profession, to see these guys that you have an influence on, and they continue to grow and change. And he's a great father. He's a great coach. He's someone that everybody looks up to. And at the end of the day, that's what we're doing. We're trying to lead young men and turn them into good fathers and good stewards of the community.
Yeah, absolutely. And Josh, that gets me into your family. The guy that I always admired, and I only got to know him just a couple of years when we would go travel to Manhattan, was your dad, Big Jim Eilert. And obviously he passed a couple of years ago, and I knew how much you looked up to and how much influence he had on you growing up, and just how you approach your day-to-day business. Talk about just how he, even though he's not with you physically, he's still there with you every single day. And now that your family is from the Midwest, Brandy, you guys are college sweethearts from K-State. You guys are down-to-earth people, but now you're in the spotlight as a head coach. So talk about the support system of Brandy, and then your 3 children, and Brendan, Emery, and Big Ted, of course.
No, they're my pride and joy. And you can go back to my dad. My dad wasn't, you know, he was a farm boy. He never really got to play sports growing up, so he didn't really understand sports in a lot of ways. And so you couldn't dive deep into that. But, you know, what he had was a great head on his shoulders. And he always, you know, I always talk about not getting too high or not getting too low, and just stay even keel and being consistent each and every day, and bring your best each and every day. And that's the guy that molded me into who I am. And that's what I want to be at the end of the day for these players. Not only I want to be that fatherly figure that can give them the advice to keep going, keep pushing, keep grinding every day, and do it the right way with high character and integrity. So I carry my father's legacy on, and I'll continue to carry it on. And I'm sure he's smiling down, especially looking on this first game coming up. And so it's special for me, but I understand I'm missing someone that always had my back. And you know the story between my dad and Teddy, and my youngest son was born, you know, 2 hours after my father passed on the same day. And you know, there's adversity in your life, and there's challenges in your life, and you're gonna have to make tough decisions. That's the toughest decision I ever made in my life. My dad was on his deathbed back in Kansas, and my wife was in labor. So I had to figure out, do I go home? Do I try to be there for my father, or do I stay here with my wife and deliver my son? And those two things happened on the same exact day. And so, yeah, decisions I'm making today are never going to be as hard as that decision I made that day.
Yeah.
So, and I look back, and there's things happen for a reason, you know, and I think that was a learning lesson for me, to keep what's important in front of you and narrow your focus. My dad would have wanted me to stay with my wife and help her deliver that child. And that's what I did. And I know he's backing me, and it's going to be special knowing that, you know, I got Eilert's 20 of them coming in from Kansas to, you know, to support me on Monday. So I got a big old table at Olive Arrows on Sunday night, and it's going to be a special moment one way or another. And yeah, we're dealing with adversity, but if it was easy, everybody would do it.
Absolutely. Every time we'd go to Manhattan, I'd be like, how many Eilerts are in the stands right now? That's an Eilert. That's an Eilert. I mean, you had Eilerts wearing purple. You had Eilerts wearing blue. They were everywhere.
Well, when we go to Manhattan, each of them keep telling me they're going to wear Mountaineer shirts, and we'll see when it comes comes February if they pull through on that. But
no doubt.
Yeah, it's a big old Catholic family. You know, and Dad had 10 brothers and sisters. There's 40 some of us, just first cousins. So I got 20 of them, you know, en route this weekend to see us play on Monday. So, you know, that's it's going to be special for me. And I don't want to make this about me. It's not about me. It's this program and these guys, and it's their season. And I keep telling them that. So we got to buy in, lock arms, and let's figure out a way to win regardless of our situation.
Absolutely. And Josh, your first press, or maybe not your first press conference, but kind of the first press conference that kicks off your press conference season with the start of the season, you talked about, someone asked you if you had a message for Mountaineer Nation, and you said it's not necessarily to be patient, but it's more support us through thick and thin. These guys have given everything they had. They've been through a lot. Fast forward, at the time, of course, you didn't know, but you've been through even a lot more. As of today, I guess it's Thursday. This will be released tomorrow, but the Thursday before the season begins, your first game, what is your message to Mountaineer Nation?
First and foremost, I want to tell them thank you. You know, I've felt the support since day one. You know, and you look at the season ticket sales, and they're nearly 7,000 season tickets, and that's that'll go down as you know, top 10 in the history of West Virginia basketball. And wow. So through all this transition from a Hall of Fame coach to a interim coach, and you know, all the adversity we went through this summer, Mountaineer Nation is still bought in, is locking arms, and is going to back this team. And I want to say thank you to them first and foremost. And now I need them more than ever. I need Mountaineer Nation more than ever. I need these guys to feel that love, feel that support. And I think they're going to lay it on the line and figure out a way to win. And it's the old West Virginia mentality. We got a little bit of a chip on our shoulder, and I need that support. If I see a half empty stands with lack of energy, then it's going to be a long road, because we feed off that. We feed off that energy in that Coliseum. And I think these guys are itching to play in front of that environment. But it's twofold. It's twofold. We got to show them something and give them something to get excited about. So I think it's going to be special to get them to play in front of a sold out crowd. But we got to prove that we earn it and deserve a sold out crowd first and foremost.
Amen. Yeah, Josh, I want to ask a couple questions, but you're a busy guy. Before we let you go, just a couple off basketball topic questions. Brian Messer-Lee was in charge of getting this done, so shout out to Mess, and thank you for getting Coach Eilert on the show. Have you been able to convince him to ditch DirecTV yet? Is that
I don't know if I convinced him.
Yeah.
I think he got tired of mowing around the satellite dish in his yard. I mean, that's been a joke for years. I mean, it's time to move on, you know.
Yeah.
Adapt or perish. I mean, that satellite's only going to sit there for so long, or else the pole's going to rust and fall over. So we're into the internet age, and he's bought in, and now he's streaming. So every time his internet goes out, and I get a screenshot of what his TV looks like with no internet. So he definitely throws it back in my face, but we've got him to cut the cord.
Of course he does. And then the other one, you're a well-known Kansas City Chiefs fan. There's been a new development in that organization. Patrick Mahomes to his favorite tight end. Do you find yourself singing some Taylor Swift songs now on Sunday with the new developing relationship?
Not a chance. But I love the fact that these opposing teams, we don't lose very often, but when we did, and they played Taylor Swift, Shake It Off there, and I thought that was beautiful. The fact that's a pretty good comeback.
Yeah, no doubt. And then my final one, and I asked all the assistants this, is your team now, your pickup team. You guys have ditched the non-athletes. You got McCabe at the 1, you got Ruoff at the 2, DeMar at the 3, Deshaun at the 4, and you at the 5. Are you still throwing Mahomes passes? And is Jay Kuntz finally in retirement so that he doesn't have to make entry passes to you and yell at you when he throws it out of bounds?
I tell you what, we've been a little busy, so we haven't played as much, which could present a problem. Conditioning always with myself. I know you guys talked about playing half court, and that's my preference. But I always like guys that leaked out. I was gonna be that Kevin Love. I did the baseball pass, but he was more of a two-handed. But I mean, we had a lot of fun playing, and we've gotten so busy over the last couple months that we haven't got a chance to get out there and throw some elbows around and blow off some steam, but we need to get back out there on the floor. Use it or lose it at this age. I mean, I'm pushing 43. DJ's 43, but I'm not sure. He's a little more limber than I am. But it's fun to get out there and play. And this summer we had several opportunities to do so against our guys, and I mean, I think that's great for chemistry, just to build that rapport with the guys and run. I don't think they want to see us lace them up, but when we do, what I figured out when I get older, you just strategic fouling. You just got to get good at strategic fouling.
Screening.
Because, well, I do a lot of screening. I know my role, especially the rest of those guys I got on my staff. They're pretty good ball players, so I just put them in their hands and make sure I get them open.
Coach, thank you so much for coming on. I actually have one final question. I know you responded on Twitter a little bit to Jordan McCabe yesterday, but what's your official response to him he's saying his archery is better than yours?
I mean, the film doesn't lie. Right?
Yeah. I don't think it did either.
I just recently got into I bought a bow. I haven't done much for myself. I'm not that type of person. So, but I shot his bow and I enjoyed it so much I went and bought a bow. But that is his bow. I'm shooting with it. Both of it from about 40 yards dead center. I don't know what he's got to argue about. Film doesn't lie.
Yeah, he's pushing fake news. That's what he's doing.
Yeah. If he wants me to split his arrow, I'll split his arrow.
Coach, well, you're busy as can be. Obviously, good luck this coming Monday and the rest of the season, of course. Thank you so much for coming on. Have a great day. Go Mountaineers, and we really appreciate you. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Josh. Go Mountaineers.